Life is a whirlwind, isn't it? We rush from one thing to the next, craving those moments of pure comfort and warmth. Enter lasagna soup. This dish is a culinary hug on a chilly evening, a symphony of Italian flavors that come together in a single pot with minimal fuss. Forget about layering and baking. This recipe delivers all the goodness of lasagna in a fraction of the time. Imagine this. A rich tomato-based broth simmered with aromatic vegetables and herbs, studded with tender ground meat and finished with silky ribbons of pasta. Each spoonful is an explosion of textures and tastes, reminiscent of that classic baked dish we all know and love. But here's the best part. You can have this comforting masterpiece on your table in under an hour. This recipe is perfect for weeknight dinners, cozy weekends, or even impromptu gatherings with friends. It's easy enough for beginner cooks to master, yet flavorful enough to impress even the most discerning palates. So let's gather our ingredients and embark on a culinary journey that will warm your heart and soul. Ready to create a little magic in your kitchen? Let's get cooking. One of the most beautiful things about this recipe is its simplicity. We are using everyday ingredients that you probably already have in your pantry and refrigerator. The key is to choose high-quality ingredients that will shine in this comforting dish. For the base of our soup, we'll be using a combination of crushed tomatoes and tomato paste. These ingredients provide a rich, tangy flavor that forms the foundation of our lasagna soup. Next, we'll add aromatic vegetables like onions, garlic, and bell peppers. These ingredients not only add depth of flavor, but also infuse the broth with a vibrant aroma that will fill your kitchen as the soup simmers. Of course, no lasagna soup would be complete without ground meat. I prefer to use a combination of ground beef and Italian sausage for a robust, savory flavor. However, feel free to use ground turkey or chicken if you prefer a lighter option. And to infuse our soup with those classic Italian flavors, we'll be using a blend of dried oregano, basil, and thyme. These herbs add a touch of warmth and earthiness that perfectly complements the other ingredients. Finally, no lasagna soup would be complete without pasta. I recommend using broken lasagna noodles, but you can also use other small pasta shapes like penne or rotini. Just make sure to cook the pasta separately according to package directions to prevent it from becoming mushy in the soup. One of the things I love most about this recipe is that it's a one-pot wonder. That means less cleanup for you and more time to relax and enjoy the delicious aromas filling your kitchen. To start, grab a large Dutch oven or stock pot and heat a drizzle of olive oil over medium heat. Once the oil is shimmering, add the ground meat and cook until browned, breaking it up with a wooden spoon as it cooks. Once the meat is browned, add the chopped onions, garlic, and bell peppers to the pot. Saute the vegetables for about 5 to 7 minutes or until they are softened and fragrant. This step is crucial for building layers of flavor in our soup. As the vegetables cook, they release their natural sweetness and create a flavorful base for the other ingredients. Now it's time to add the crushed tomatoes, tomato paste, dried herbs, and beef broth to the pot. Give everything a good stir to combine, then bring the soup to a boil. Once boiling, reduce the heat to low, cover the pot, and let the soup simmer for at least 30 minutes. This simmering time allows the flavors to meld and deepen, resulting in a rich and satisfying soup. As the soup simmers, you'll notice the most incredible aroma filling your kitchen. This is the magic of slow cooking. The low and slow heat allows the flavors to meld and deepen, creating a symphony of tastes that will tantalize your taste buds. During this simmering time, the ground meat will become incredibly tender, the vegetables will soften and release their sweetness, and the herbs will infuse the broth with their warm, earthy flavors. While the soup simmers, take a moment to appreciate the simplicity of this recipe. With just a handful of ingredients and minimal effort, you're creating a dish that's bursting with flavor and comfort. It's a reminder that sometimes the simplest things in life are the most satisfying. As the soup simmers, you can prepare the other components of the dish. Cook the lasagna noodles according to package directions, then drain and set aside. You can also grate your favorite cheese blend for topping the soup. I recommend using a combination of mozzarella and parmesan for the perfect balance of creamy and sharp flavors. Remember to give the soup a stir every now and then to prevent it from sticking to the bottom of the pot. You can also taste the soup and adjust the seasonings as needed. If you prefer a tangier soup, add a splash of red wine vinegar or a squeeze of lemon juice. Now let's talk pasta. For this recipe, I recommend using broken lasagna noodles. They add a wonderful heartiness to the soup and hold their shape beautifully during cooking. However, feel free to experiment with other small pasta shapes like penne, rotini, or even small shells. The key to perfect pasta in soup is to cook it separately. This prevents the pasta from becoming mushy and ensures that it retains its texture. Cook the pasta according to package directions, aiming for al dente, which means to the tooth in Italian. Al dente pasta has a slight bite to it and holds its shape well in soups and sauces. Once the pasta is cooked, drain it well and set it aside. You don't want to add the pasta to the soup too early, or it will absorb all the broth and become mushy. Instead, we'll add the pasta to individual bowls just before serving. This way, you can control the amount of pasta in each serving and ensure that every spoonful is a perfect balance of broth, vegetables, meat, and pasta. What's lasagna without a generous helping of cheese? For this recipe, I recommend using a combination of mozzarella and Parmesan cheese. Mozzarella adds a creamy, melty texture, while Parmesan provides a sharp, nutty flavor that perfectly complements the other ingredients. Once the soup has finished simmering, it's time to stir in the cheese. Reduce the heat to low and gradually sprinkle in the cheese, stirring constantly until it's melted and incorporated into the soup. The cheese will add a wonderful richness and creaminess to the broth, making it even more comforting and satisfying. Don't be afraid to be generous with the cheese. After all, a little extra cheese never hurt anyone, especially when it comes to lasagna soup. You can also experiment with other types of cheese, such as ricotta, provolone, or even fontina. Just make sure to choose cheeses that melt well and complement the other flavors in the soup. Now that our lasagna soup is simmering to perfection, let's talk about garnishes. While this soup is absolutely delicious on its own, a few well-chosen garnishes can elevate it to the next level. Think of garnishes as the finishing touches that add a pop of color, texture, and flavor to your culinary masterpiece. For a fresh, herbaceous touch, try sprinkling some chopped fresh basil or parsley over each serving. If you're feeling indulgent, add a dollop of ricotta cheese for extra creaminess. A sprinkle of red pepper flakes will add a touch of heat, while a drizzle of extra virgin olive oil will provide a luxurious richness. Another fantastic garnish option is toasted breadcrumbs. Simply toss some breadcrumbs with melted butter and your favorite herbs, then bake in a preheated oven until golden brown and crispy. Sprinkle the toasted breadcrumbs over each serving for a satisfying crunch that contrasts beautifully with the creamy soup. Remember, garnishes are all about personal preference, so feel free to get creative and experiment with different flavors and textures. Have fun with it and make this recipe your own. There you have it, a comforting and flavorful lasagna soup that's as easy to make as it is delicious. With its rich tomato broth, tender ground meat, perfectly cooked pasta, and generous helping of cheese, this soup is a true celebration of Italian flavors. Whether you're looking for a cozy weeknight dinner or a satisfying meal to warm you up on a chilly evening, this lasagna soup is the perfect choice. It's a dish that's sure to please everyone at the table, from picky eaters to seasoned food lovers. So gather your ingredients, put on your apron, and let's get cooking. With just a little effort, you can create a culinary masterpiece that will nourish your body and soul. Buon appetito!